Hey again, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the suggestion, email, and in the comments section about topics that we can cover. A lot of the topics we have covered once before or twice, and I think it deserves, pretty much all of them deserve, or all the points that we're talking about in the issues of the ego path or the narcissist, they deserve to be gone over again as well. The suggestion that I got last week was a discussion about the flying monkeys. And, I hadn't really thought too much about the flying monkeys or the people who assist the ego path in their endeavor or endeavors against their victims. My focus is pretty much on the ego path themselves, but the ego path cannot wreak the havoc in your life without having some tools around to do that. So if they're lying or backstabbing, gaslighting you, they have to have some assistance. Typically, I think the assistant, or at least in my case, the people that assisted the narcissist or the ego path, I think they knew what they were doing. I think they know that they're participating in the teardown sessions. And frankly, a lot of them are spiritually sick as well, far from enlightened people. They tend to gravitate around the narcissist. If you've ever known these genuine, real deal ego paths, they keep a variety of, I don't want to say lesser people because they're all lesser people, but they keep a variety of people that at least the narcissist feels are less than around them, makes them feel better. It's kind of like this might not be, I'll say it anyway. It's kind of like the gal who keeps and you know what I'm talking about, and keeps maybe the heavier girlfriend around to try to make herself look better. I'm not saying that to be derogatory toward anyone, but you know what I'm talking about, especially with the females. They will keep folks around them that typically are there to make her feel better. I've noticed this too with the female narcissist, the egopaths, that they try to, they dominate, even if it's subversive domination of their significant male or others, or they try to. There are those of us who do not put up with that, and in turn end up with the wrath of the ego path, the female ego path. And I know that this goes both ways, so don't think that I'm picking on the gals here. On that note, if you, like in my case, all the ego paths are female, every single one of them. That's just the way it goes. So in my world, it looked like all narcissists were the female persuasion. And if you're female and you've had a narcissist husband and a narcissist father, etc., it appears that all the narcissists are male. So we know that that's really, neither one of those is correct, that it's kind of spread out across the board, but it appears that way. But back to the flying monkeys. The narcissist will use the flying monkeys. Typically, they'll use them as sounding boards for the narcissist to tell them that they're right about what a bad person you are and how they are so undeserving of the nonsense that you're the one that causes. The narcissist, I heard something the other day, and I know I'd heard it before. The narcissist creates a storm and then gets mad because it rains. Like the narcissist will tell someone, so-and-so got angry and he yelled at me, or he did this or she did that. They never say why, though. They never say what led up to that event. They only point out when, this is why you've got to go no contact, or at least low contact with these monsters. They use that against you, but they will wait until, or not wait, they push your buttons, manipulate, cause issues, and when you, as a human being, finally break down and lose your temper with them, then they tell the flying monkeys what you've done. And it reinforces their position as a narcissist. It reinforces their distorted view of the world, because remember, they are the only ones that count in the world, and so they get this feedback from the flying monkeys. So the ones that are close to them are generally the ones that support their issue and their cause. Then you have people that don't know the narcissist or the egopath that well. Maybe they're on the mid or outskirts of their lives, but they still use them because they have no reason to disbelieve the narcissist. They don't have any reason to not believe it. Why would she tell me this about this fellow if it wasn't true? Typically, people are, we trust. We want to trust the people around us. We don't think that someone would be playing those kind of games. And it kind of makes you wonder, when someone has that same issue over and over again, and you all know them, male and female, he just treats her so bad, he just treats her so, why is she still there? Or why is he still there? Well, because it serves some purpose. If you're tangled up with one legally, like via marriage or something, it's extremely difficult to get out of it. So that person may not be sharing exactly why they are continuing with this extremely toxic relationship that they could be in, but the narcissist stays in it as long as it's benefiting the narcissist. They're going to use that to uphold, like I said, their distorted worldview, their distorted egopathic view of themselves, because they are the most important part of the world, of the universe. Everything centers around them. The flying monkeys, as some of you might know, there was a movie called The Wizard of Oz, and the Wicked Witch of the West had these horrible beings, these flying monkeys there was a few scenes that she commands them to attack the other characters in the movie, and that's where we get the term flying monkey from. So if you don't know what it is, go see the old movie The Wizard of Oz, and you will see exactly what we're talking about with the flying monkey. My take on it is that some of them know and some of them don't know, but all of them are what we call, these terms are actually getting old. We switch terms so quickly now. The NPCs, or the non-playable characters. As an egopath or a narcissist is very adept at doing, they can manipulate and turn people's opinions of others very easily toward the or against the target. How it benefits them in the long run, it just keeps them in a position of power over you. Mainly subversion. This is not something that they do to you directly. This is the big triangulation that you hear about in these extremely toxic relationships with the people that we call narcissists or the egopath. They can't do this to you unless they're close to you. It has to be folks that are going to know you. There's one that I knew, and I was so surprised that I was working in, I wish I could divulge more about this. This has been a very long time ago. I was working in a retail setting. I hated that. But someone came in who I'd never met before, never saw again, and proceeded to tell me about someone that I knew, about what a horrible, just an awful pain in the ass this person was. This person actually ended up being an egopath themselves. But it surprised me that the information was so free-flowing to me about this. I didn't say it was correct information. We'll call it data for this for just a minute. This data or this story that I was being told, and they had no problem in just relaying it to me just via standing there in the middle of a retail floor. Thought that very odd and really disturbing now. At the time, I listened loosely to it because I didn't know who this person was. And that's not the only time that it happened. It actually happened several other times. This is well before I had any of my... It's well before I knew about the damage that was happening exclusively to me via these toxic relationships I was having. And so it surprised me at the time that these people would come and talk to me and say this. Some of it ended up actually being true. Part of that is, and airing people's dirty laundry to others, people that you don't know, and people like to gossip. People love dirt. So the flying monkeys, whether they're narcissists or egopaths or not, whether they're toxic or not, or whether they're a non-playable character or not, it doesn't matter. Some people just like to gossip, and if they're close enough to the egopath slash narcissist, they might be somewhat toxic themselves. Therefore, they are tools to be used by the egopath in their destruction of you. And that is unfortunate, but you have to keep your eyes and ears out, keep alert to understand when this is happening. If you feel like you're starting to understand what narcissism is like, hopefully you are when you're coming to these platforms and you're listening to some of these talks, mine not being the only one by any means, then you need to keep it quiet. And if people are coming to you or vice versa, and you'll know when it's happening to you, because you'll have never met someone, and this is absolutely 100% true. I've rolled up on people I've never met in my life and had them look me up and down, and you get that feeling that they know something about you that you don't even know. And it became more often and more often and more often until finally I became aware that not only was I being stabbed in the back by a few people around me to each other, but they were actually stabbing me in the back to pretty much everyone that I knew. What they've said, I still have no idea, and I think it's unfortunate that they've destroyed probably many relationships that I would have had, good friends, business relationships, all kinds, because of the few bad apple egopaths that were around me at the time. They're very damaging. Watch out for the people around the narcissist. If you need to find out, and this is a really good question, maybe I'll visit it in more depth some other time, but if you watch the people that are around the egopath, how they treat you is how you know how the egopath is speaking about you to other people. Something that never crossed my mind before until I became aware of this issue. So anyway, I hope that sheds some light on the subject of the flying monkeys and how they behave and how the egopath slash narcissist is able to manipulate them. And I hope that clues you into a little bit as we continue these talks, and hopefully air this whole thing out. Someday we will all break completely free, gray rock, and finally no contact with anyone ever like that again. So, all right, well, thank you for the suggestion. I am glad to see you all again. I'm going to sign off, and I hope to see you all again real soon. Thanks.